Good afternoon, stamping friends. This is Robin with Stamp with Dr. Robin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in San Diego, California, and where it is beautiful outside. It's in low 80s and a little bit of a breeze, so it's actually quite nice. Hopefully you're having as nice a day there as I am here. And we are going to be working today with a couple of the celebration items because there's only a couple more days left of celebration. So if you like free stuff, and I don't know who doesn't like free stuff, you only have till Wednesday at about 11 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're somewhere else, it'd be a different time to get free stuff. So get on the ball here if you haven't already. Anyway, so just a few announcements, Stampin' Up! Related stuff. Talked about the celebration. We all know about the joining special going on this month, which is a lovely free planner. And I've got my next class coming up September 18th here in San Diego. If you want to come, just shoot me an email. My email's already on here. And otherwise, you can get this as a class to go. We're going to be using the Hello Harvest stamp set. Oh, good. We got some people watching. Hi, Wanda. And hi, Doris. So welcome. Anyway, talking about class in September is going to be on the 18th, and we're going to be using the Hello Harvest stamp set as well as the Soft Seedlings stamp set. And so if you have those already and you just want some goodies to make some cards, let me know. My email is on here. Otherwise, see you on September 18th at my house. And then I wanted to talk to you about a couple things coming up in a little bit because they start on the 1st, which, believe it or not, the 1st is this week on Thursday. I can't even believe that. And then another thing coming up in the future, just to put on your calendar, is World Card Making Day, which is October 1st. And Stampin' Up! Is going to have a free, I believe it's about 3 hours online where you can watch and actually join in. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute because I want to point you down to talk about this stuff because I got some handouts and such. So let me turn you down here. All right, hopefully you can see that. Let me just try to check online because it wasn't coming up right away. And hopefully this is right side up. I went to sign on today, and again, our lovely friends at Facebook have moved some things around, and you just go to sign up to just click on your live, and everything looks different. And then, oh my. So, hi Lisa, good to see you. Anyway, so talking about celebration, we only have a couple more days, and I did want to warn you a couple things have already sold out. Supposedly the Hippo dies have sold out. They are not on our inventory, our report that tells us they've sold out, but some of the demonstrators have been commenting that they can't order them. The Rings of Love paper is back in stock. We all know these pool party and soft seafoam cards and envelopes. Those were the first things to sell out. And then today, we're going to be working with the silver and gold 6x6 paper. These little guys, this stamp set's still available. We all know the tree lot dies have sold out. This that we worked with last week, the Wonderful World set, where you get the stamp set and the gorgeous paper, has not sold out yet, nor has the Perfect Pomegranates, which are just beautiful as a host set if you have a party or you buy $300 worth of stuff. It's the only way to get it. And then the other thing we're going to be working with is something that I just got, which is the Aspen Tree Dies. With a $100 order, you get those for free. Those are running low, as is the silver foil paper that you can get with a $50 order is running low. and sold out right now and not expected back before the end of the celebration, is the brushed metallic, the gold cardstock. So get it today if you want these things. And then the other thing is that is starting on the 1st, which is Thursday, is this Perfect Partner set where you can get, for a limited time, just the month of September, these dies that go with some of the other stamp sets. And I'm not going to go through them too much today. And then, because we've done that already, World Card Making Day, October 1st. I believe for Pacific time it's 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Stampin' Up! Is going to be online having these really great people from Stampin' Up! Showing us some beautiful cards using the Cottage Rose set, the Cottage Wreath set, this from the annual, this from the mini catalog, and this new one, this Warm Welcome. I'm going to pull it up a little bit, maybe you can see it a little bit easier. It's this little door that opens on your cards, as well as these really cool sayings and stuff. This is something that's going to be in the next catalog, the January through June catalog, but they're going to release it early starting August 1st, again on Thursday, and they're going to be using that on World Card Making Day. So that looks pretty darn cool. So as I said, today what we're going to be using is this 6x6 silver and gold paper, the both gold and silver in the stripes as well as the dots, and it's foiled paper, so we can use that to our advantage. Also remember, you can color on it, which we're going to do today, and I don't know if you can see this, but I embossed it with this trees, I think it's called, whimsical trees, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's very cool. So you can emboss whatever you want on here. And then we're also going to be using the Aspen Tree Dies. Now see, I just got these, so I don't even have a little name on here. And we're going to be using this really cool large oval die. It has these beautiful leaves also. And honestly, I thought about not even getting the stamp set that goes with this. This is the stamp set that perched in a tree. But then I like some of the sayings. The bird's starting to grow on me. Yes, I also think it's too fat a bird. I don't know why this bird is so fat. Dots are always a good thing. Anyway, so I ended up getting both. But for today, we're just using the dies. Okay, so this is what the dies look like. This die, the big one, cut out in the white. I don't know if you can see, it also embosses some of these little indentations on the cardstock. And then I thought, you know what, I really want to make this like a nighttime card, a night sky. So this is what the card is going to look like that we are using today. Wow, we are on here really quick. Let's see, does that help? Whoa. All right, so that's a little bit straighter now. Anyway, and as I said, I'm making a lot of thinking of you cards these days, so I just thought this was kind of a very peaceful card. And can you see in the background is that silver foil paper that you can get for free, and colored, it looks like we have some little silver snow there. So that's what we're going to be doing today. All right, so let's first take, this is just a 4 by 5 1/4 piece, and we are going to use the watercolor shapes and this little teeny one, and we are going to stamp in some So Saffron to make that little moon. And the reason I decided to use this as opposed to, let me just show you a different way that you could do this moon on here, is you could just take either your stylish shapes or your layered circles and cut out a circle and put it on here and use your blending brush to just make yourself a little sun, or moon, I guess. But what I decided to do is I wanted to use these watercolor shapes, and the reason I wanted to is hopefully you can see that they're just kind of modeled looking, and I didn't want something completely solid. And so that's why I decided to go for that. And technically, since this is a photopolymer one, you really should have this with something piercing mat, etc. underneath, but I found I didn't really needed it. Okay, so just to figure out where I kind of want my little moon, I'll show you now. I decided to cut this out with the gray granite because I wanted this to look more evening. It didn't look quite right with the white. So this is a piece of gray granite, and it's just 1/8 of an inch smaller than what's going to be my card. So it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And so I just wanted to, I thought that would be easier if it was a little bit bigger than this, but then I liked it just a little bit smaller than my card, so you could see the card base too. So I'm going to want that so I can see it, so right about there. All right, so we're going to put my, whoops, let me get it right about there. And that's my little moon. I'm going to have to let that dry for a minute because it looks like I got it a little smushied in the middle for some reason. But it also could just be, I think I'm going to just blot up some of that. Okay, and then I actually cut with my smallest circle from the Stylish Shapes, because this was the smallest circle I could find, and I just cut out the circle so that I wouldn't color over it and put a little piece of washi tape on it like that. Now you're going to be able to see a teeny bit of it, but that's okay. It's just meant that I don't color mistakenly over a whole bunch of it. So I've got 3 blues today, and I always, when I'm doing something that's looks kind of with gradations of color, I always start with my lightest color, so that's my Balmy Blue, then my Pacific Point, then my Native Navy. So let's start with the Balmy Blue in the middle. And I've got some blending brushes. I don't have one for every color, but I use this one mostly on light blues. Now, you ink it up pretty good, tap it off a couple times, and then just start lightly. You can always put more, you can't put less. And that tapping off is just to make sure that you're not gonna get blobs. So lighter towards the middle and darker as you go out. All right, that's all I needed, that Pommy Blue. And then my next color is going to be the Pacific Point. Let's see if it'll open that way. Not today. Nothing's working today for me today. All right, I just want to make sure, because I did use this, oh my, for the Night of Navy also. And as you can see, it still has quite a bit of Night of Navy on it. So Okay, let's make sure that just the Pacific Blue is going to be good with this. All right, again, tap this off a little, and I'm going to kind of start out here, blending over the one that I already did, just a little bit. And in general, I'm trying to come in from the outside with my darkest. Okay, get a little bit more in there. All right, that's enough of that. And then again, let's try to get a lot of that color off, because now we're going in with our Night of Navy. Again, we don't want these blobby things like that, and we're going to come in from the outside. We're always going to want our darkest on the outside. And I ended up doing this where I just kind of went around and around and around and around until it seemed like enough. So it may not seem so dark to begin with. And then as I'm going, we'll end up with more color on here. And again, I'm starting off the page and then going on. And we're going to definitely have some darker towards the bottom. That's kind of intentional. And I am trying to blend it in by going over. So you saw I made the Pacific Point, our second color, you know, a bigger area than I knew I really wanted. And that's so we can get these nice blends in here of different colors, because it's going to end up looking like I have way more than just 3 colors because of the way that they're blending in. I probably could have gone even bigger on that Pacific Point, but you can always come back and put a little bit more in if we want to. And actually, when I started doing this, all I knew I wanted to do was some evening part of this, and I wasn't quite sure what the rest was going to be. And one thing I was thinking of was I was going to be able to see more of this or have it on a Night of Navy card. And so I was really looking to make the edges as dark as possible. Wanted it to look really dark. You know, sometimes navy looks almost black. Like I've had, you know, difficulty sometimes in the morning because I guess my closet isn't always so light in there in the morning when I'm getting dressed. I've had times where I thought I was getting navy blue pants and really they were black, or vice versa. One time even I have shoes that are in, you know, both navy and black, and I've had a couple times where, well, not a couple, once, where I actually wore my shoes that I thought were the same, and I had one navy blue one and one black one on all day. So that didn't work out so well. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of the Pacific Point and try to get it to come down a little bit in here and mix with the navy. So I kind of left it a little bit lighter there on purpose because I wanted it to seem like the moon was casting this light down. And like I said, I just kept going round and round and round and round until it seemed good. And then the fun thing is then when you take off your little circle, that moon really stands out. Now you can see we've got a little halo around there because it was a little bit not covering, but that's okay. I'm good with it. Okay, so next thing is, look at my fingers though, just from holding it. I'm just going to try to get some of that off on my paper because I don't want it everywhere. The next thing you're going to do is just take a little Kleenex, and what I like to do is go back over, and you can see how you can see the silver on there more where I've taken it off with the Kleenex a little bit. So now you're going to go back around here and just try to buff off above the just so that the silver will shine through more. You don't really have to do this. It also helps with not getting it on your fingers because that's what's really coming off is the stuff that's sitting on top there on the silver foil. All right. Next up, what did I just do with it? Oh, here we go. We're going to take our little piece there and put it on top. But I wanted to raise that up a little bit on there, and so I took these, what are these called? Foam strips, foam adhesive strips. I love these things. You know, mostly we have them for using on shaker cards, but I like to use them when I have big things like this. We got one little place that didn't get punched out. Let's see if we can get it to come out. Oh, actually, before we do that, I did one more thing. Forgot about that. Okay, oh, that is very distracting, isn't it? Let's turn this over. A little cleaner on the back. Okay, so we have this cool thing that's cut out. And what I decided to do, I don't know if you can even see it on here, is give it a little depth. So I'm going to color in where they have these little debossed lines. And I also colored with my black marker just the sides of these trees like this. Oops. Although I use this side. So, so I color just along the side like that. Can you guys see that? Just using the edge. And it just, I don't know, just gave it a little bit of depth here. Keep going. And you know, I suppose you could color the whole thing. I just decided, well, if the moon's kind of shining from the side, the other side didn't need it because it would be kind of lit up a little bit. And you could go in and do every single one of these on the side, but I just decided to mostly just stick with the bigger ones. See if you can see the difference. You can kind of see it when it's just laying right there, right, on the white. And then, like I said, there's these little debossed areas that you probably can't see too well. But I'm just kind of filling them in with the markers. Last time I even missed a couple, so we'll see if later on when I'm in some better light, if I can see some more of them. Not sure if I got them all. that's okay. Got enough. Just to give it a little bit more night sky kind of look. All right, now we're back with these foam adhesives. And you don't have to cut them, you can just tear them like that. Looks like I didn't quite leave enough room over here. And now I have these little extras like this, and all I did was tear them up a little bit more and use them on some of the bigger pieces of, whoops, tree, just so that the middle of this wouldn't sag. So I used 2 of them. And they're basically like long, skinny dimensionals. So when you have something really big like this, they're really helpful. Okay, so let's, you can also cut them. Like that one didn't tear so good, so we'll just cut it off. But then we got this little thing that I don't feel like throwing out, so we'll just stick it up there. Take off the backing. Just like a dimensional. Just like a dimensional that doesn't want to come off. Come on, little guy. Well, this one just wants to pull off completely. There we go. I took off. That one I took off. That one's not off. Okay, there we go. And then you want to just make sure that we're not over. There we go. Last time I had to do this like 3 times to get it where I wanted. This time it was, did what it was supposed to do. Yay, always a good thing. All right, then I took a piece of gray granite for my card front, or card base rather. The regular 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then we're just going to glue it on. Is this gonna stick out? No, it's gonna work. And this Aspen Tree one that I cut out for the Aspen trees is just, like I said, about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my card front, just enough to leave the card front edge showing. All right, and then we have, I decided that was a little plain, so I took my little deer punch and punched out a little deer. And some antlers that I don't need. And then we are going to, I decided that he would just be kind of, whoops, partially jumping through here. Oops, do I have a dimensional there? So I wanted him like partially through the trees. So glue. And slip this part under and this part going over. And then just hold him in place for a minute because, you know, he's partially up on dimensionals on this side, and this side is down straight onto the paper there. Oh, we got more people. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Mary. Hi, Beth. I'm glad you guys could join us. And then we need a little sentiment for the front. So actually, this was just sitting on my stamping area because I hadn't cleaned it up from last week or a week or two ago where we used it, because I'm really using a lot of these thinking of yous. You know, I use thinking of you when I'm sending sometimes a get well card, or a sympathy card seems just a little nicer than with sympathy, although plenty of people like that. And I'm using some gray granite ink, and you can see I smushed a little bit, but that's okay because we are going to cut it out, and that's not even going to show. So we're doing, I don't know what other people call this. I call this bubble cutting. We just kind of go around the edges. And I kind of leave a bigger margin of whiteness or whatever paper you're on the back around it. And then, because then if I end up getting a little too close later on, I can always go back, cut a little more off if I want to. Up and down and up and down. Again, moving your paper, try to be moving your paper, not your scissors. There we go. That looks pretty good. For some reason it always curves up like that when I do this technique, so let's smush it back down, get a little glue on here. Now I'm going to make sure that I just kind of leave this for a little bit afterwards to dry before I try to mail it or anything, because you notice I didn't really try to figure out which part of this was going to be on which tree branch. So there are some areas that are going to have glue on the back but aren't glued to the branch because of our dimensionals underneath, our foam strips. So you want that to dry underneath, because if you put it in an envelope right away, that might get smushed down onto this piece, and we don't really want that. And then just to put something in the inside, I thought I'd take this little branch that's part of the perched in a tree and get a little branch on the inside, just maybe across the bottom like that, and just give me a little, you know, plenty of area to write. I tend to not put a whole lot on the insides of things because I want to have an area to write in here. Don't be a glue globber either. Notice that's a big thing when people are first starting to make cards, is they really put a lot of glue on, and then you do this and it smushes out. And if it doesn't smush out, what ends up happening is it warps a little bit. There. And then the very last thing I did was I took a Wink of Stella pen, and I decided that this little deer needed to be just a little bit sparkly. And that Wink of Stella pen is dead. So let's try another one. There we go. Now, I really recommend you do not do this until you're totally done with your card. And the reason I say that is it sometimes does take a bit of time to dry this Wink of Stella, and I put a lot of it on, because if you don't and you pick it up and you smush it and whatever, it just doesn't look so great. So you gotta let it dry. So I always say that's the very last thing you do, is your little Wink of Stella. So this one looks way shinier because I just did it, but there we go. What do you guys think? Thought the blender, using the blender brushes would be fun, and showing you just a little technique of those. I think a lot of, that just takes a lot of practice, or, and you can practice on your scratch paper here, etc. Or you could practice on these free 6x6 pieces of designer series paper. So give it a try. Another thing that's really pretty to do, other than this night kind of sky, is you can do a sunset kind of thing with using oranges and yellows and all those kind of colors. One time I wanted to do that. I just took a picture out my window, or obviously at the beach or whatever works for you, and tried to match up the colors on the picture with what I had. I can't even remember what I ended up using, but it was just kind of fun to try to match my picture and what I saw there. All right, so let me pull you up for a second. Just to say, next week I will not have a Facebook Live because I'm going to just take a little vacation, a little mini vacation here, and I'll see you the week afterwards. And hopefully between now and then you guys will have some fun stamping whatever it is that you need for cards, because I sure know that the people who get my cards just love receiving cards, and I'm sure your friends do too, even if you're just thinking of them like we did today. So take care, and I will see you 2 weeks from Monday, 1 o'clock Pacific time. Bye-bye.